there, BookTube. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing not just my regular old October humdrum book haul. No, today I am sharing 10 prize-winning books that I acquired in October. So I'm calling this my October 2017 prize-winning book haul. All of these books that I got in 2017 October. Well, today I am sharing with you the books that I acquired in October, the books that made it onto my shelves, and they are all prize-winning books for one reason or another. No, I didn't go out and buy all the books that were nominated for the Pulitzer or the Booker Prize this year. Those wouldn't be prize-winning books, those would be prize-nominated books. But I have some prize-winning books to share with you, and I think you're gonna like them. The first one is The White Tiger by Aravind Adiga, and this one won the Man Booker Prize in 2008. And this one is about a man who is a self-taught entrepreneur, and he starts writing a letter to some visiting diplomat. He calls His Excellency, the Premier of China, I think it is. He starts writing this letter and is describing his life and his accomplishments, and through the process of writing this letter he introduces himself to us. He introduces the ideas that he has embraced that has caused him to become the person that he is. And so on the back it calls him a complicated man, a servant, philosopher, entrepreneur, murderer. I read the first couple of pages. I love it. It is exactly the kind of book that I love. And also, it won the Man Booker Prize in 2008, so I know I'm going to love this book. Then we have Howard Jacobson's The Finkel Question, and this won the Man Booker Prize in 2010. And this one is about two friends who knew each other as children, but since then their lives have gone on very different paths. They're both recently widowed, and they're catching up and realizing that they do have some things in common. I read another book by Howard Jacobson earlier this year. He did a retelling of Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice called I Am Shylock, which I've talked about on this channel before. I think it was the first book that I read in 2010. So I am looking forward to reading something else by Howard Jacobson. I was amazed by his use of language, and this also, the Times review, the Times blurb on the back of this also talks about his use of language. In this book it says, how is it possible to read Howard Jacobson and not lose oneself in admiration for the music of his language? So I'm really looking forward to reading this one as well. For being the Man Booker Prize winner for 2010, this is prize winning book number 2. And then we have the current Man Booker Prize winner for 2017, George Saunders, Lincoln and Lombardo. And this one is about Abraham Lincoln's son, Willie, getting sick and dying as a child, and his body being laid in the crypt, supposedly laid to rest. Except for some reason or another, Willie's spirit is not moving on. And so the story takes place in this crypt in what is called the Bardo in Buddhism, which I suppose in Catholicism is called purgatory, where the spirits of people who have died but their souls are not able to find a resting place, they hang around trying to find revenge or trying to find answers to why they're dead. It's a very unique writing, and I promise I will talk about this in depth pretty soon, because I will be doing a review of all the nominated books for 2017 that I have read. But for now, just know that you need to read this book if you haven't already. If you're interested in history, if you're interested in religion, if you like stories that are uniquely told, for any of those reasons, you would enjoy this book, and for many others. So for now, I'm just going to say prize-winning book number 3. Prize-winning book number 4 is Jose Saramago's Blindness. Jose Saramago won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1998, so any of his books would be considered prize-winning books. But this one specifically is an international bestseller, and the story is also very captivating. It follows unnamed citizens in an unnamed town who fall victim to this epidemic of white blindness, and the people who have been rendered blind are confined to this abandoned mental hospital. But what happens is that even though they can't see, their human criminal tendencies emerge, and so there is some extent of lawlessness that still happens even while people are dealing with the fallout of this epidemic. And so in the blurb it says, it is a magnificent parable of loss and disorientation and a vivid evocation of the horrors of the 20th century. It's a powerful portrayal of man's worst appetites and weaknesses and man's ultimately exhilarating spirit. That synopsis reminds me of the story Lord of the Flies by William Golding, where even children who are free from the boundaries that society or their parents might render upon them still find that human tendencies emerge, and you still need some kind of restrictions in order to keep some of those natural tendencies at bay. This I'm really looking forward to. So this is prize-winning book number 4. Prize-winning book number 5 is Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt, and this one won the Pulitzer Prize. It is his memoir, and I really love Frank McCourt's style. I haven't read a book by him physically, but I have listened to excerpts, like essays that he has written on audio, and I love the first page of this one. I'm going to read you 2 sentences. He says, "When I look back on my childhood, I wonder how I survived it all. It was, of course, a miserable childhood. The happy childhood is hardly worth your while." Doesn't that just draw you in? So this is his memoir. This was a New York Times bestseller. He won the Pulitzer Prize. He also won the National Book Critics Circle Award. He won several other awards, the Los Angeles Times Book Awards, the Abbey Award, all of those for his autobiography. And so this is prize-winning book number 5. Number 6 is kind of a cheat because the author is a prize winner, not necessarily for this book. I talked about it in my nonfiction November TBR/options/recommendations video. This one is about a specific group of soldiers who went to the 2007 Iraq War. These soldiers made a decision that their troop was going to make the difference in the war, and so they set about doing something that might have been a little unconventional, and this is their story of when they returned to the United States and they are kind of dealing with whatever happened when they were in Iraq. The author, David Finkel, won the Pulitzer Prize for his journalism, and this one is also called a Best Book of the Year from the New York Times. And so I'm going to consider this as prize-winning book number 6. Jonathan Franzen's The Corrections is number 7, and this won the National Book Award. This one follows an older woman. She's been a wife and mother for over 50 years. Now her husband is losing his faculties. He has Parkinson's disease, and she isn't ready for her life to be over, and so she's going about making these choices that are supposed to correct some of the mistakes that she made in her life. I think it's going to be a fantastically fascinating, funny read. I have heard so many good things about this one, and it is number 1 national bestseller. It was a Pulitzer Prize finalist, but it also won the National Book Award. So prize-winning book number 7. Prize-winning book number 8 is The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa, and this one is translated from Japanese, and it actually won, in its untranslated version, it won several awards in Japan. Hasn't won any awards yet in the United States, I don't think. But I don't think the fact that it's translated diminishes how beautifully written this story is. It's about a professor who has a traumatic head injury and loses his short-term memory, and the housekeeper and her son who move in to help him with his day-to-day life and the interactions that ensue. I think this is going to be a stunning read, and I was very happy to add it to my collection. So this is prize-winning book number 8. Number 9 is a little bit of a twist on prize-winning books. This is The Storied Life of A.J. Fikry by Gabrielle Zevin, and the synopsis of this one is about a man who owns a prized collection of Edgar Allan Poe's poems until they're stolen, and the story is about him trying to recover them or deal with the loss of them forever. This one is a bestseller. It hasn't won any awards yet, but the fact that it deals with a story about a prized book, I'm still considering this to be prize-winning book number 9. And finally, Frederick Bachmann's A Man Called Hoover I think is how this is supposed to be pronounced. And this is about a man, an old man, who is considered to be just a grumpy old man in his community until some new neighbors, I think, move in next door and start having some kind of interaction with him. And the people who think that they knew him all along, think that they knew his story, are being forced to rethink who he is and who they are in relation to him, and the story that progresses after all of those changes. And so I think this one was originally published in Sweden, and I don't know if it has won any awards there, but Booklist on the back says if there was an award for most charming book of the year, this novel would win hands down. And so I'm considering this to be prize-winning book number 10 and the end of my October 2017 prize-winning book haul. So thanks for watching my video. Leave me a comment down below if you've read any of these books and want to chat about them, or if you have some feedback or some comments or suggestions as to which one of these books I should read right away, because it is going to be astoundingly amazing. Thanks again for watching. We'll talk in the comments, and until next time, happy reading. Bye!